folks, welcome to the channel Thinking Theology. I'm Don. I'm taking a look. I don't know this. I haven't seen it. YouTube recommended it to me because I scout, for theologically oriented, atheistically oriented videos, anything that allows the bookends, theology, no theology, for me to discuss it. And Christopher Hitchens debates Sean Hannity about God, something like that. I think that's what it was titled. So we're going to find out what their debate is. I don't know Hannity's position on it. I know who Sean Hannity is, of course, but I don't know his position on this stuff. And he likes debate. He likes to debate. And he's not a dick when he debates either. So let's see what Hitchens and Hannity do with this.
And welcome back to Hannity's America. Author and journalist Christopher Hitchens is no stranger to controversy. In this week's Hot Seat, I go head-to-head with him over his brand new book, God is Not Great. You describe yourself as a devout anti-theist, and you're an atheist. Explain.
Okay, well, an atheist is someone who doesn't believe that there is a God, or at least says that there's no evidence to believe that there is. But such a person might very well say he wished it was true. In fact, I know some atheists who do say, well, I wish I could believe it, I just can't. There's not enough evidence for it. All the evidence is the other way. I see that. I say I'm an anti-theist because I think it would be rather awful if it was true. If there was a permanent, total, round-the-clock, divine supervision and invigilation of everything you did, you would never have a waking or sleeping moment where you weren't being watched and controlled and supervised by some celestial entity from the moment of conception till, well, not even till your death, because it's only after death that the real fun begins, isn't it? It would be like living in North Korea.
To be an atheist, you have to believe that it is possible, which I think is a far greater leap of faith. That's something that can be created out of nothing. When you look at the majesty and sophistication and the intricacy of the universe that we do know and comprehend, you have to believe that somehow that this energy could have existed on its own, and I do not believe that is. That, to me, is a leap of faith.
You give me the awful impression, I hate to have to say it, of someone who hasn't read any of the arguments against your position ever.
I've read all the arguments.
I don't see how you can be saying this. When look, you want your God to take responsibility for the huge number of collapsing stars and imploding galaxies and destroyed universes and failed solar systems that have left us in this tiny corner on the one planet in this petty solar system that can support life some of the time on some of its surface, and you want a creator who's filled this earth with species since life began, 99% of which are now extinct already. And this is some design, isn't it?
Well,
but you didn't say that. You said you were a believer. You didn't say you were a theist.
I am a believer. I believe in a creator.
Right, yeah, well, that's where it stops, or you think this creator cares about you too?
No, in this concept that I will concede this point is that human beings, I don't think, fully comprehend or understand the majesty of God because it's not meant for us to know. But putting that aside here, from your position, when you really think about it, you are believing that there is a possibility without a creator that somehow energy has created itself, or that energy predates or any concept of time.
This is where I've said on other videos that it is a question of origins. We're always looking at origins, and it's that infinite regress which has nothing to do with the biblical texts. It has to do with, the theist would say, where did this matter come from that we see in the universe, if not from a creator? And then the anti-theist or the atheist might say, well then, or just a logically thinking person would say, well then, where did the creator come from? Something had to precede something, generally. That's how we human beings understand beginnings, and it doesn't even necessarily have to have a design that we even appreciate. It could be something that's chaotic, but where did even the matter that's chaotic come from? And that is where you stop on, if you stop on the infinite regress, where, well, it makes more sense to Hannity that he's saying that an energy, a creator, started the matter in the universe. The matter just didn't come ex nihilo out of nowhere. But Hitchens' point here is I didn't really see went this far into it because among all the things I've heard, this is new to me that he is saying, if God is paying attention to everything, and what about all the decay in the universe, the destruction, as he called it? Now, I don't necessarily see decay in galaxies or elsewhere as destruction. Destruction relates to the human race. Everything will tie back. So it's relative. When you say that got destroyed or that's super hot or that's super cold, it's relative to what would sustain life for us individually and then collectively.
And energy that for example, something that can come out of nothing, because fundamentally there has to be that starting point, or you're saying, or confirming confirming your belief system.
That is what our minds demand. We look for patterns.
You seem to be angry with religion, angry with God. Am I wrong in my perception?
Not with God, obviously. That would be absurd. But yes, I mean, my book expresses, I would rather say, contempt and hostility to this constant religious intimidation and clerical bullying to which we're being subjected. My book is part of an attempt to arrange and organize a pushback against this, whether it's the parties of God destroying Iraqi civil society, or bigots in America trying to have pseudoscience taught in our schools, or a pope who says that AIDS may be bad, and limbo, by the way, may have been a mistake, but let's talk about hell, and anyway, AIDS isn't as bad as condoms. We had enough of people who think, like you, that they know what God wants and that they've got God on their side.
Well, I hope you're not comparing.
And that they can tell us to do it. That they can tell us. Well, they can tell us what to do or what to think in this way.
I don't care.
Yes, I am very.
There is hostility here, but I will tell you this: you are right, and I agree with actually many of the observations you made about how religion has been perverted and how it is being used for destruction and how it has been unproductive.
It is innately irrational.
Well, I disagree with that. That's a certain intellectual snobbiness, perhaps, on your part. But let me just say this. But religion
that could well be right.
Religion also has provided food and water and medicine and supplies and housing, and there has been, in the name of religion, much good that has been done, both in this country and around the world.
But if you reduce religion to social work, well, so does USAID do all that. Actually, a secular organization, actually rather more convincingly. Most of the great philanthropists of the United States have been atheists. It doesn't prove that atheism is correct.
Okay. Well, no, there's a lot of meat on those bones there. I like both where they were both coming from, because that is, this could be like the poster child right now for the channel and why it's here, because they're very good points on both sides. I like that. Yeah, I mean, Hannity brought up, and this is a point I brought up. All right, if you're going to point out the negative, doesn't matter in what field you're looking at. If you're going to point out the negative about a certain dynamic or certain group of people, or even about yourself, you've got to be willing to see the good things in it too. It's like my yoga teacher, Ranjita, said, to be in balance, if you're going to believe the bad things about yourself, you've also got to be willing to believe the good things about yourself. And I thought, wow, I've never even heard that before, but it makes sense that you can't just look at the one aspect. You got to look at both. And similarly with religious organizations, okay, have wars been started because of religion? I don't think so. And I know that sounds odd. I think that the ulterior motive is money, land grabs, natural resources, and comfort. And people are fervent in the religions and may use it as a justification. But I think if you stripped people of their religious preoccupations, they would still do these things to one another. Because just like Hitchens said, secular organizations do good things as well. I don't know if it's true or not that the philanthropists of which he spoke were mostly atheists, but he did follow it up by saying that doesn't prove atheism, and that is true. There's just no logical connection, no nexus between those ideas. And so Hannity can't say, well, we've done good, therefore there's a God. But that wasn't Hannity's point. Hannity was just saying, Hitchens, if you're going to point out the bad things that are done in the name of religion as a reason to not believe in God, which was not Hitchens' point. It is some other people's point. But he says, if you're going to use that, you've also got to point out the good as a countervailing wind to that stream of thought. And I agree with that. It is, to me, just rational to approach the argument that way. But Hitchens is clearly invested because he doesn't like society. He doesn't society's implementation of religious ideas and approaches to science, or what he calls pseudoscience. But the thing is, if you're going to have majority rule or voting, then you take your constituents. This is where the body politic comes into play. You take your constituents' views into account. And studies have shown, lots of studies have shown that roughly 85 to 90% of people worldwide believe in a supreme being of some sort. It's not necessarily Yahweh or Elohim or Adonai. You've got Hindu gods, Buddhists, many thousands of religions who believe that there is a creator of stuff, put it that way. So you just don't ignore that as a politician or within the parliament or within Congress or Senate and wherever governments, the Knesset, where I think that's Israel's equivalent of Congress or our Senate here in the U.S., but you take all streams of thought into account. And is it irrational to believe in a God? No, not in economists' terms. If you've studied economics, what is rational is very different than what most people think. Doesn't mean it's right. Rational pertains to the individual. Does it make sense for you to believe in that? And for some people it does. For Hitchens, it's irrational for anybody to believe in it, but he's not speaking on an economic basis. He's saying, I'm right, science shows religion is not worth it, therefore nobody should believe in it. And I may be mischaracterizing him in some way, but not entirely. But he's a very learned man, and he looked very grumpy. But then again, when you go on Hannity's show, I don't know if it's smart to be grumpy. You can disarm Hannity a little bit by being a little bit jovial or self-deprecating. I'm not sure. But it did look like this interview was edited. There was a thought that Hitchens said that I wanted to hear him build upon, and they edited it and went to a different point that Hannity was making. And I thought, I wanted to hear what Hitchens said right there. But we didn't get to hear it. So, all right, folks, leave your comments. This is fun to expand the mind, and that's what I'm here for, just to bookends of conversation coming together in the middle, and civility generally helps. So there you go. Have a great day. See you on another video, and keep thinking theology.